Good afternoon. Welcome to the live trading session with myself, Giles Coughlin, and Paul Sanders. Welcome back, Paul. Good to have you.
Giles,
Good
can you hear
morning,
me?
Paul. How are you? You're looking very refreshed after your road trip. You feeling
Is
okay?
it that obvious? Oh my goodness.
It does. You actually look like you've
A little bit of a glow. Maybe
bit of
that's
a
because
bit of a bounce in your step again. You can see. You doing all right?
I'm good. Yeah, I had a great weekend away. Did a little bit of hiking out in some of the Tennessee mountains, which was very nice.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, smaller little mountains, but so that was good. Kind of hung out for a weekend. It was an old friend from college, so it was good to
Oh,
kind of catch up, see how
yeah,
everybody
that's
was.
nice.
Yeah.
Which
So
which college did you go to?
this is Grove City College. It's a smaller liberal arts school north
Yeah.
of Pittsburgh. It's
To be aware of,
also in
Stony Already
Pennsylvania,
reporting the
ironically enough.
deputy
But
chairman of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran announces increased pace of operations at the Buja nuclear plant.
yes,
We're interrupted with nuclear news from Iran, such as our
yeah,
such as our what day-to-day work.
yeah, exactly. So it's really good, really fun. Wait for a few days, but
Did,
do you
did
get
you
away
meet
to
any
anything?
grizzly bears at all?
No, no bears. They didn't quite come out of hibernation yet. So
Oh, okay, that's good. I remember we went to many moons ago. I went to capital of New York State, Albany,
oh yeah,
and we were staying with the Albany City Mission, and they were like hosting us, and they had like a homeless kind of center.
oh yeah.
And the guy who ran it was giving us a story of how he met a bear on a hike. And it was just, I was just suddenly funny as he recounted to all these Brits what he did. Like he took out his Magnum and he was just there going,
Boom, boom, boom.
and all
Yeah,
these Brits like, are you actually insane? You know what I mean?
right.
And he was just loving. He was really in the story. So you didn't have to take out your weapon at all.
Oh man, no, no. What? In fact, we didn't even have weapons, Giles, which is a shock. I know. You think everyone in America does
Are you
have?
okay?
Yeah,
You've become
yeah.
European.
Everything's fine. There's no revolution that we have to start. There's no
You weren't
insurrection.
ready for the apocalypse. You didn't have like 400 cans of beans in your boot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even own a gun. I know that's surprising for you, but
Oh, you don't even. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Really?
there's many Americans who don't.
Oh, I'll let the rest of us Brits know. Thanks for the heads up.
You know,
Well, it's good to have you back, Paul. I missed you at the end of last week, so nice to have you back in the back in
city.
the back in the seat.
What's been happening? Thursday, Friday, anything here?
No, not really. Just sentiment picked up a little bit, and it was just trading what we saw in terms of volume profile. Really had nice day on Thursday and Friday. About 4 grand up on Thursday and about 3 and a bit grand up on Friday, trying to get through this 20,000 target.
Yep.
Najam had a nice trade on Friday,
Okay.
really nice one, and Mark Anthony had his regular 2 points.
Nice.
So it's
Yeah,
good.
you know
Ticking away.
what's nice about these the larger accounts is your drawdown is at 7 grand, right?
Yeah.
And the profit target's 20,000. But here's the thing: if you can hit the profit target, then all you have to make is the 7 grand. See?
Yeah.
So it's a two-way. It's harder on the front end, but it's easier on the back end in a way.
Yeah, yeah. It is quite, well, I've been finding it quite hard, mentally quite draining because the 20 grand's quite a high target.
Yep.
So I had a good tail ender last week, but it's quite draining trying to get there.
Yep.
But I have
Yep.
been enjoying having a 7.5 drawdown. I mean, you can be 2 grand down and you're not even thinking about your drawdown yet, which is nice.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. Should we get to it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So, the major sentiment today is sentiment's positive because over the weekend, the news kind of broke that Trump's tariffs, which are due to drop now on the 2nd of April, which is basically what everyone's waiting for now, are expected to be more targeted. So it's not expected to be this generic catch-all tariff that gets every nation.
Citing the Times of Israel, quoting an Israeli official, Tel Aviv has not received any new proposal on the hostage exchange deal. That is via Sky News Arabia, citing the Times of Israel, quoting an Israeli official.
So that's why equity futures are kind of up across the board. Some countries are also expected to be excluded. Now, the reason I didn't buy into it was because I was a bit nervous that you're going to get a contradictory headline. So what I say is sentiment is positive, but you just have to be very wary that all of a sudden you might get one headline and it sort of totally reverses. So you can see US equity futures up nicely across the board. Look, Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500. Europe is not up, but US is, and volatility is trending lower underneath the next key sort of resistance line. So if we get underneath this sort of 19 region, then that's really quite positive for the S&P 500. But it's a double-edged sword because we've just got to get Trump saying, oh, he is going to be putting tariffs on everyone. Don't think they're going to be easy or something like that. And then it all quickly reverses. We've also got Russia and the US administration meeting about Ukraine peace talks. So those two things are kind of perpetual risk in terms of the squawk that we have to be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, so sentiment is positive. The risk status is positive, but very vulnerable to any correction. Equity markets are sort of just generally higher. Commodity markets are sort of generally higher across the board. The dollar's been a bit weaker, a bit mixed, lifting the majors, but no major driver for the dollar. 10-year yields, they remain sort of generally pressured. And I'm just reading another article on Bloomberg, and it's something that I'd realized, but I sort of forgotten in my mind, is that Scott Bessent, the US administration chap, wants yields to be lower and is actually working on means to make it lower. So he's working on a number of specific concrete reasons why bonds will be bought. And that's something that's really, I'm really seeing up on the US administration now to push yields lower. So we need to watch out for that. And I expect these yields to keep moving lower into the summer. And if you look at seasonals, you can actually see there's quite a strong bias for yields to be lower from June into sort of early September.
Yep.
So there's some macro reasons and some seasonal it's all this seasonal pattern, but that's kind of, you know, ticking away. So what does that mean for us? It's looking to buy the dip until we hear otherwise, with headline trade risk essentially. We've got Bostic speaking after our session 5:45, Barr speaking 7:10, Bailey speaking at 6. That'll be interesting for the pound. And then we've got some PMIs coming up on the calendar, 145. Again, just be conscious of that. I'm not expecting it to be a major mover of anything. I'm not expecting it to be a major narrative builder. And we know that soft data has been pretty weak of late. So I guess the best opportunity here is if these PMIs come in strong, that could support the risk tone and could support stocks higher. So that's what I'll be looking for of these PMIs. But I would say not really a tradable event, not as impactful as the ISM data points, but nevertheless, it is kind of a calendar event that might just pause before. Looking at the delta, you can see it's continuing to move higher, positive on the session. And we've got some pretty strong aggressive buying coming in throughout the session. Looking on the hourly chart, any sort of key levels for us to be looking at. We're in this key kind of weekly volume profile area here. Let's just, let me just check that I've got this on the, I think this may be on the daily. Yeah, it is. Let me get this to the weekly. Oh, it is on the weekly. Okay, that's good. So just notice we're up at these sort of 5790 highs, which is kind of into the bottom of this weekly value area with some pretty strong support around the 5760. So we're in a sort of potential area where we might find sort of a bit of a retracement, and we'd be quite happy to buy in as things currently stand from that 5770 with a developing value area low here on the right, but also a confirmed value area low on the left. So we've got really strong support, which would be attractive for dip buying on the weekly chart. So keep that in mind, 5770, which also corresponds with the daily, this daily zone here. I think I'll make that just a touch smaller. Yeah, so this 5770 area would be great. This is a nice support area, very attractive dip buying on the VWAP. Looking at the trend, I'd say this is a fast trend higher, stroke normal trend. We're bouncing off the first standard deviation every time we've touched it since 7 a.m. UK time. So up, first standard deviation rejection, second, first rejection. So keep buying the dip until we see any other indication. Got some sellers trapped there on the 15. This will be the first area where you're going to get a test of whether this trend wants to keep on moving higher or not. Personally, I don't want to buy into it because on the weekly volume profile, you've got this area that we got up here. So I think if we push up forward and we start making up towards 5820 or up to this area here, great. Otherwise, dip buying from this 5770 makes sense. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. What about you, Paul, with your new vistas from your mountaintop weekend? Are you seeing things differently? Have you got a fresh perspective on things? Or how are you looking at the market this morning?
No fresh perspective. Just looking to kind of get into it and see how this develops here. This is quite a fast trend up since the last couple days. Well, actually, no, just the 20th, just yesterday, last night with the gap up. So yeah, we'll see what the market wants to do here.
And this is a nice area we've gapped up on this 5700 region here. You got this swing point here.
Yep.
Great support around here.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Just gonna let it transpire.
Yeah.
See what it gives us. Like you were saying, I don't want to chase this. I mean, you also have a big breakout of this range that we've been trying to get out of for forever.
Yeah.
This kind of zone between the 55 and it's a 100-point range essentially. We've been in that since mid-March. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now we broke into the upside. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, that's a nice area. We had those 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections.
Yep, and you can see like that's a nice downtrend. And if you were playing that entire thing and you were very wary of what was going to happen, with Trump's tariffs, well, that's a nice little pullback for you to sell towards the bottom or sell in some amount of continuation, headed lower. So we'll see.
Yeah. So half an hour to the open. So 50 minutes to the open and half an hour to the PMIs. So
those PMIs are not supposed to be that significant, right? They're like,
no, they're not.
Yeah. Okay.
I think at the moment now you've got the PCE on Friday.
Yep.
And then you've got the anticipation of the tariffs on Tuesday the following week.
Okay.
So I think that's what's going to predominate the market's thoughts, those two things.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was missing you as well, Paul, on the end of last week because I saw something on Twitter about something that some Brits were teasing Americans, saying that there was a British tea time alarm. And some Americans have believed it, but every day there was an alarm in the UK where you had to, by law, make a cup of tea. And some Brits have been like winding it up by saying, "Oh no, I missed my tea time alarm today. I got £30 fine from the government."
Oh my goodness, that's great.
And so Americans are going, well, will we have to keep to the British tea time, etiquette when we come to our holidays in the summer? So.
Oh man.
So
that's hilarious.
I missed you to try to see if I could persuade you at the end of last week, but
that was a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're well travelled and you know it's a load of hogwash.
I know. I'm far too smart on your British jokes for that.
Yeah, that's it. You've been around us too long now. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see what happens here.
Nice little area here at the 80 where those sellers were trapped.
Yep.
Rejected once, strongly on volume. Rejected a second time.
Just looking at the market, it seems, I know we're before the open, but it just seems a lot calmer today. I'm just looking at this price action. I'm on one of the tick charts, and it's not as violently whipping around. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll see. We probably just have a lull for a bit until we get something definitive on these tariffs. But
yeah, it is a nice strong potential breakout here. Looking at these US futures market, look at that. I mean, and VIX down to the lows. And tariffs are not going to be as bad as everyone's fearing.
Or will they, Giles?
Yeah, that's literally what I was doing on my life.
All it takes is a single line and you're terrified again. The whole world, Trump will just be like, yeah, he is that crazy, that could actually happen.
Exactly, because I was up here like 577.77, and I was thinking, do I just buy this morning and just like we'll just try and keep going with it?
Yeah.
Then I thought, well, hang on, it's just, but then there was like Trump was up early, and I was thinking, he's up really early. He was posting on Truth, so I was like, no, you just know what he's like.
Better judgment.
You're right. It is much more. It feels much calmer, doesn't it? Much calmer.
We need to refuel the coffee to be ready for the morning open. So I will return.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. I'm going to get a cup of tea as well. I'll see you in a bit.
Just making you aware of a tweet here from Brazil's Haddad. He's just noting that, clarifying what he said, was that he likes the architecture of the fiscal framework and he is comfortable with its current parameters, and that he is an advocate for reinforcing them with measures like those of last year. For the future, he said that the parameters may even change if circumstances change, but he advocates meeting the goals that's were established by the current government. Just a translated tweet there from Brazil's Haddad.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Brian. All right, folks. The other thing to mention is we're imbalanced. So we've opened up outside of Friday's balance, gapped higher, got that big gap here. Nice support at the 5,770. Hope you're doing okay, Brian. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Najam, Mark, Brett, Brian. 4 minutes to the open. Yeah, let's just take a look at this. S&P 500. Yeah, nice one, Mark. Good to hear. Nice, Brian.
Couple minutes to the open.
It's just interesting to see if you get these buyers trapped on the 15-minute into the open.
You'd think you'd get a little bit of a pullback.
Pullback,
here.
yeah. I'm just going to see where an obvious place is. 5,770 to 5,760. Got the point of control up there at the 84. Yeah, okay, so buying off the daily VWAP makes sense to me. So if I get down there, I'm just trying to buy into this fast trend, essentially.
Yeah, it's a little ways down, but it's probably the right call.
We'll just have the entry there at least.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. And then look for any signs of reversal on the 1 minute. Okay, we're off. Those buyers trapped up there. Price moving lower. Buyers from there, the 11 a.m. This will be a crucial kind of area. Delta coming in negative. I'm happy to buy in there and just see how it goes.
Okay.
So I'm going to play it kind of nimbly, but just given how quick this trend has been, I want to see how it goes with these buyers here to see if other buyers step in to support them at this 11 a.m. UK time candle here.
Yeah.
If there are buyers stepping in on this, it's not a bad area to come in, but let's see if it will hold.
Looks like it wants to turn around here. So far, I'm sensing something very different about the price action from when I was trading last week. It's, again, this is very, anecdotal and limited, but the movement just feels a whole lot more predictable. I don't see the normal whipping that I do on the 1 minute. Now that could change in a flash. Still, the market's a little slower. It's a little more deliberate.
So we're coming up to a 5 minute close. It would be good to see these sellers getting trapped on the 5 minute. These sellers here from the 12.15 UK.
Yep.
And we've still got this first standard deviation that's holding for now.
Yep.
Let's have a look. But a nice lot of cumulative delta. That's 1,200 contracts long. So some people are trying to buy this as a dip, aren't they?
Yep.
But will it last? That's the key.
So we're in 10 minutes time. We're going to look out for the latest US S&P Global Flash PMI data for March. Manufacturing expected at 51.7 versus the prior 52.7. The services expected at 50.8 on the prior 51. The composite, that was previously at 51.6.
Right, I'm closing that because I just don't like the way that this is rejected once, twice, potentially 3 times here at the 84. So I'm just going to close that and wait. I can always get back in because I've got the data coming up shortly as well.
Yep, by the right call.
Well, it's probably could have held it a bit, but anyway, just let's have a look on that 1 minute. It's okay. Now we've got some sellers trapped.
Exposure across the markets after the US cash equity open. I've seen a green open here across the board. has of course come after the Bloomberg report over the weekend on the April 2nd tariffs from Trump, set to be more targeted. Sectors are all in the green with outperformance in consumer discretionary, industrials and communications. Meanwhile, defensive sectors do lag. T notes they are lower across the curve as the market has responded to the targeted tariff approach. But also reports in the Washington Post that tax revenue could drop by 10% amid turmoil at the IRS. There's also been a slew of corporate issuance ahead of Treasury supply this week. Meanwhile, in FX, dollar is flat when the yen underperforms and Aussie outperforms in response to the risk on tone in markets. In commodities, oil prices, they have been choppy, although did see prices come off the earlier highs after reports that India is to cut spot tenders as Russian oil shipments rebound, albeit both WTI and Brent are still in the green. Gold is flat, we'll see silver sees gains. Looking ahead today, do have Fed speak from Bostic and Baum, and also remarks from US President Trump and the Louisiana Governor Landry, who are set to announce a steel manufacturing deal. And of course, do have the PMI data shortly.
Okay, Paul, I added along again with those sellers being trapped and it pushing up.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try and take profit at the 5788 if I can, ahead of the data.
Okay. Nice one.
In fact, that's nearly there. Just give it a little bit more, see if it can push up. I might just take it off. That's it. I'm out now. I'm now going to wait for the data and reassess.
Yep. Nice one.
Okay, folks, rundown for March the 24th. And today, okay, decent day, plus 1,000 and 9,200 away from the 20,000 target. So we're moving in the right direction. The bias today was clearly buy. There was general sentiment being positive that Donald Trump was going to be not putting tariffs on every global trade partner, that were going to be much more targeted. Some countries were going to be exempt. Though we don't have any details, markets just rallying on that optimism. So it was a question of buying. Where do we buy in? So took a couple of longs out of the open and just moving up. We had some PMI data coming up. It was the S&P Global. So not wanting to hold through that. So just exiting prematurely as it happened before the data was released. And then markets just carried on moving higher. The data was mixed, but with that service sector being strong, US is a service-driven economy, so there was no reason not to keep buying the dip after that data. Wasn't particularly in the market's focus, but service-driven economy, that was good. That offset some of the tariff woes about the manufacturing print. And remember that there was optimism anyway that Donald Trump might be dialing down some of the more extreme interpretations of what was happening. So buy the dip, that carried on. Then just as we saw markets weaken, just looking for a couple of opportunities for shorts. I had to be very careful. Took a couple of opportunities. One was a loss, one was a gain. So up on a net profit for that day, being very quick on this account because need to get the account up to 20 grand. So having to sort of take every half opportunity. Then it was back to dip buying. And again, you can see here, these buyers trapping these sellers in an uptrend. That was the clear opportunity of the day. Buying here, and then these 5-minute sellers getting trapped here, entering a second position, and then these buyers getting trapped up here. And as we've moved up through this, took out 3 positions, and that was the trade of the day for me. And that's where I closed out just up at that top there with these 3 positions. Then buying on the breakout, got a breakout on volume, took it. Excellent, Mark, well done, 2 points. And then buying off the standard deviation, took a buy off the standard deviation. That moved down super quick, that trade. That was literally 10, 20 seconds down and up. Took another breakout trade on volume, stop at break even, just left it because I didn't get the follow through I wanted. Then it was looking, is there a way to short this market? And then we saw sellers trapping buyers. So taking some shorts, a couple of shorts there, both out around break even. Very careful when you're shorting this kind of aggressive uptrend, but it was the negative delta that was getting me interested. Bearish divergence, price making higher highs, delta making lower highs. Clearly sellers are building up here. So conscious at some point they're going to step in. So that was what gave me a little bit of confidence. And particularly this trade here, point of control, sellers, trapping buyers, so looking to sell off the point of control. Got it. Didn't take out the lows, moved it to break even and just took out break even, took that on my live account as well. So just slightly better than break even for that. So that was what I was doing today. End result plus $1,000, and you can see the trades here. So 66% winning trade percentage, 26% losing trades, total profit 1,275, gross P&L 1,087. So 1,200 to the upside, 187 to the downside, and herein ends the session for today. Okay.
All right, everybody.
And it's also worth mentioning, Paul.
Yeah.
Nadjam's move on gold, which was very nice and very similar to the excellent trade you took on Friday. And Mark, I think, had 2 or 3 lots of 2 points as well. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, Konstantinos. Good to see you, mate. See you, Nadjam. Mark.